My name is Shyra and I own thousands of Dollhouse Miniatures, and I'll be sharing some of them with you today. If you have any information about any of the pieces I show, please share it in the comments. This has to be one of the cutest miniatures I own. It's a kitchen island covered in pillaging mice and a bunch of food. There's some corn and a seed sack. The more you look, the more details you find. It isn't signed, so I don't know who made it, but I would love to have fun someday making something like this. I got it in Connecticut at the IGMA Guild show from an artisan named Jill Casterol. This is a basket made by artisan Al Chandronnet. He signs all of his pieces AC on the bottom. He is still currently making pieces all the time, and I really love his shaker boxes with lids. I would love to know more about this miniature if anyone has any information. This is a glass basket filled with dried flowers. It's made with a lampwork technique where glass is applied to glass. It's about 1 3/4 inches tall, so it's 1/12 scale, but it's big enough to work in Barbie scale as well. This isn't exactly my style, but I can really appreciate the workmanship and the fact that after all this time, none of the glass has broken. Here is a fantastic quarter scale new old stock bedroom set. I made the trinket box that just fell in the book and the little vase filled with flowers and the small lamp. The bedroom set itself is made by an unknown artisan, and it has beautiful hand-painted details and really nice bedding. The bed has 3 pillows and this beautiful quilt which has tiny trim on it and even a bed skirt. This is a really quirky item to own. It's a miniature outhouse. It's got the little holes for the toilet, and it even has a roll of toilet paper in it. I'm not sure why it has 2 toilet holes. That's a little scary. I really think the details on this go the extra mile with the paneled front and side and the moon cutout. This was made by Town Square Miniatures. I like to show you guys items that I think you could make yourself and replicate at home, and this is one of those items. This is just a simple crate filled with logs, and I think it could be replicated with popsicle sticks pretty easily. I guess we've gone country because now I have this chicken coop to show you. I love the details with the shingled roof and the hay-filled spaces for the chickens. I don't know what they're called. There are some chicken eggs and a ramp off to the side so the little chickens can climb up into their nesting boxes. I think that's what it's called. It was love at first sight when I saw this adorable rolling trunk. It is made so well and the wheels actually function. It's made from multiple small pieces of wood joined together. There are little hooks inside to hold the wagon handle so it doesn't get lost. It is signed on the bottom, Richard Charlton, November 8th, 1978. If you've seen my 144 scale farmhouse, you know I'm a fan of small leaning ladders because I made one about a 1/2 inch tall for that little house. Here's an example in 112 scale. This is a vintage handmade ladder, and I just folded some fabric over it and secured the fabric to itself with hot glue so I wouldn't have to alter the original ladder. This is an item that's really unique to me. It's a wooden coffee table with wicker baskets on the end, and these baskets are hand woven and intended to hold magazines or books, or maybe even a remote control. It's signed BJB 1992. I believe this is a Kohler sink. It does have a chip in the porcelain top, so expect to see this from me in a future abandoned build, or maybe even an artist studio because an artist wouldn't care if their sink was damaged. It only has 2 legs because it mounts on the wall. I'll probably make a drain for it because I love when miniature sinks have drain pipes. Is it just me because whenever I see a miniature that looks this perfect, I just want to add dirt and rust and scratch it up? I really love the color of this watering can and the handle that flips back and forth, and this little plant is super simple. It's just a wooden crate filled with pieces of, I think it's moss, with little pieces of styrofoam glued to it. I got a bag of styrofoam like this at the Dollar Tree, so it gives me an idea of what to do with it. This little cutie pie is from Meyer Imports, which I'm not familiar with, but maybe I'll check out the website. It's a super cute little duck, although I wish it was made of actual rubber, so maybe I'll be on the lookout for a real rubber ducky. If you've seen my bucket and mop tutorial, I think this bucket would be really cute, filled with some soapy water. And I also have this wooden washboard. I think it's a vintage Concord Miniatures piece maybe. And I think that would look cool sitting inside of the larger tub with some fabric that looks like clothing and some soapy water. If this is how we still had to do laundry, I would literally be wearing filthy clothing all the time. These are simple and mass-produced, I'm sure. Maybe you've seen them somewhere else, but I just love small, in-scale, mundane details for dollhouse miniatures. They're perfectly in scale, and I could just see them sitting on a little spice rack. I have a really fantastic room box, which is a Dollhouse Miniature Porch in 1/12 scale. I'll have to show it to you sometime in the future along with my other room boxes, but I've collected some hanging plants and some plants for the garden to redo that porch someday because it's vintage and in need of an update. I'll definitely record it and make a video when I make over that porch. I've also collected a fair amount of tools because I plan to make a dollhouse miniature basement in 1/12 scale, and it will be filled with tools and other junk. This spade in particular is made completely of metal and it's hand painted to look like wood. This is probably the oldest miniature I'm showing you today. It looks brand new, but it's actually an antique cast iron chair made by J.E. Stevens. This chair weighs about a pound and is part of a set, although I don't have the other pieces. I got this really cool piece from fellow miniaturist Whitney LaBrie's eBay store. I really recommend checking it out. I'll put the link in the description. It's a full-size, well, it's a couple full-size peacock feathers, and I think that it may be in a vintage lipstick cap. I'm not really sure. This might not be a lipstick cap, but it looks like it to me. I think this would be a great piece sitting in the corner of a living room. Here is another handmade item. This is a miniature fishing pole. The reel doesn't turn. It's actually quite simply made. I think it's probably just a bamboo barbecue skewer with a bit of copper wire wrapped around it, some string run up through the wire, and a wooden bead and small piece of metal for the reel. I may take inspiration from this and try to replicate it with a little more detail. I am not sure what this wooden piece is. If I had to hazard a guess, I would guess it's some kind of loom, but I really don't know, so if anyone has some insight, that would be great. The top tilts back and forth, and it has two ends that stick out farther, so maybe that's a place where the doll can grab to turn it. And it is signed. It is signed Bill G on the bottom. So if you have any suggestions of what I could do with this or what it is, please drop them in the comment section below. This is just a small metal bundt pan, but I really love the color and I love small details like this because they bring a space alive. It really doesn't get more utilitarian than a miniature plunger, but I absolutely love this plunger. It actually has a rubber tip and the handle is perfectly in scale. I'd love to hear if you have any favorite everyday items you've seen in miniature or that you own. Here are some more tools that are destined for my miniature basement. These are made by the same company that made the miniature spade, although I'm not sure what that company is called. They just have the same paint job. This is a die-cast National Cash Register. I really like the working crank. It's actually also a working pencil sharpener. You can still get these brand new on Amazon, but this pencil sharpener is actually vintage. This would obviously look fantastic in a miniature general store. Here's another nice simple miniature that could be replicated. It's just a small flask for alcohol. It's made out of a flat bead with a small seed bead glued on top. You can make lots of small details like this and fill a space so it looks realistic and lived in. If you have any skills making simple food, this wreath is simply a piece of paper with some clay fruit glued to it. This is tiny and adorable and everything anyone loves about miniatures. This is a half-scale mouse stealing cheese from a mousetrap. So half-scale is 1/24, it's half the size of 1/12 scale, and it's 24 times smaller than full size. I really love hearing about your favorite items at the end of the hauls, so please share in the comments, and make sure to check out one of my other videos. My favorites are the mouse table, the half-scale mouse, and the plunger.